A viewer asked this question. Hey, Jim, I'm 2 weeks post-heart transplant. I've just been released to go home. Congratulations for that, by the way. But I've just been released to go home, and I'm having a lot of difficulty getting up and down the stairs to my bedroom. Basically, I'm left stuck sleeping on the couch, and I'm wondering if that's normal. Should I expect better? Should I tell my team about it? What do you basically think? Hey folks, welcome back to Transplant Recovery again today. My name is Jim Merle, and I have heard this question being asked to me and to others a number of times. As a matter of fact, I think it was just a few days ago over on the Heart Transplant Support Group page, I saw a daughter asking about the potential for her father who had not yet had that transplant, prayerfully he will be soon, but had not had the transplant, if he was going to be able to navigate those stairs soon after. So basically speaking, most of us, and when I say most, that'll be clarified by the end of the video, but most of us do struggle to a point in the beginning when navigating things like inclines, ramps, stairs. Pretty much anything can be difficult in the very beginning, and that's because your body's going through such a tremendous recovery process and basically adapting itself to a whole new way of living. So we're going to address this question from two different perspectives, because at least two things involved in understanding why this might be. Number one, it comes down to the current condition of your heart. And by current condition of your heart, what I'm really talking about here is the fact that during the heart transplant procedure itself, the surgery itself, the vagus, some people call it vagus, but I'll say vagus nerve, is being cut or severed. Now, if you're not familiar with the vagus nerve, basically speaking, I would draw that out in my mind like a tree trunk, okay? You got a tree trunk, you got all the branches coming out. Vagus nerve is a very major core nerve that runs throughout your body, not your spinal cord itself, but similar to that carries out all the signals to the major systems and organs. For example, when it concerns the heart, which because it's been cut, it doesn't function this way, but when it concerns the heart, if you decide or determine, I'm going to go for a walk, your mind or your brain already kicks out signals and tells your legs to start walking, it tells your lungs to start inhaling and exhaling, and it also tells normally your heart rate to rise or fall or increase pressure depending on the demand that is at hand. Did I mean to rhyme that? Not really. But depending on the demand at hand, it would tell your heart rate to rise or fall, the pressure to go up or down. However, because the vagus nerve has been severed or cut during the surgery itself, at least for a long period of time, there is none of that communication going on. So you reverse that example of someone post-transplant, your brain sends out a signal to your lungs, to your legs, and says, we're going for a walk, but your heart doesn't get the memo, okay? And so it doesn't necessarily raise its heart rate or raise the pressures quickly enough, so you can easily get winded. And that's especially the case when you're talking about going up a staircase or something like that, because the demand is kind of a sudden onset thing. If you want to go for a walk, for example, you can tell your body very easily, I'm going to take a few steps and get a little faster, and I'm going to increase the heart rate slowly, more adaptively, and then I'll get up to where I need to be and I'll be fine. But a staircase or an incline, that demand comes on much more suddenly, and the heart itself does not keep up early on after transplant because of that vagus nerve not carrying the signals as it once has. Now, over time, your body can learn to adapt to sending out those signals another way. For example, I would just imagine, I'm not a medical doctor. Mark that down. I'm not a medical doctor, okay? So this is my understanding of it. Basically speaking, if you want to go for a walk post-heart transplant, what has to happen is it sends out a signal to your lungs and to your legs, and your legs say, hey, we're going for a walk. Your lungs say, sure, I'm on board. I'm going to start breathing a little bit harder, a little bit faster, a little bit shorter breaths or whatever, and then your heart sitting around going, what's going on? What's happening? What, we're walking? Nobody told me we were walking. And then it has to adapt based on the demand coming in reverse order, if you will, from those legs. And it will increase slowly. And for that reason, that's why you can eventually get through a walk or whatever. But again, those stairs don't give you that type of timing. It doesn't give you the span of time you need for that. Staircase, you're going to start it, you're going to be over it in a couple seconds, and then you're going to really have that demand that's a little bit overbearing at that point in time. Now, for example, when my vagus nerves were cut after surgery, I really couldn't do stairs very well. On top of that, I couldn't do an incline hardly at all, it felt like, but I could walk. I mean, I walked 3-4 miles within the first week after my transplant. But one of the keys in doing that was the fact that I had to start out slowly. Then once that heart rate got up, the real hard problem was when I finished the walk, I really had to take a slow cool down time, which I typically wasn't willing to do. For example, I remember going back into my hospital room one day. As I walked in the room, my cell phone was laying over there. It was ringing off the hook, and it was my dad calling just to check on me. And I went to answer the phone, and I absolutely could not speak. I was just completely out of breath, completely winded, even though during the walk itself, I had been fine. When I tried to stop, that heart rate was still high and it wasn't coming down, and I just couldn't get my breath in order to speak like that. So that's kind of how it works with a staircase, because the demand is sudden onset and then it's over. Your body doesn't really get the chance to do that backwards type of adaptation where the legs have to tell your heart what to do instead of your brain. And so there's just a lot less connection there. It's a little bit more difficult. But there's also another factor that may come into effect, and it generally does for most of us, and that's not just the condition of the heart itself, but the conditioning of the body prior to transplant. Okay, you see, everybody goes into transplant in a different place in the process. Okay, some people, for example, like I did, I went into transplant. I literally walked. It's almost hard to believe for most, but I literally walked 3 miles the night before my transplant. Okay, I just had that ability. Now I had some medications on board, my go-go juice, my Milrinone, that gave me some of that ability, but I literally walked 3 miles the night of my transplant, up into the point that one of my doctors saw me out in the hallway, and this was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning out walking. He said, "Jim, what are you doing? You're getting a new heart. Go lay down and get some rest." I said, no, I can't sleep anyway. I'm going to keep going. I want to keep my legs under me, which turned out to be a very good thing. Now, not everyone has that ability, however. I've got a good friend of mine who was basically completely bedridden for 5 months leading up to his heart transplant. Therefore, it took him a long time to get up and get moving post-transplant, depending on what stage you're in and how sick you have been for how long and how little exercise that you've been able to get or how much you have can definitely determine how quickly you're able to get out of that bed. So if you see someone answering this question, I think over on the Facebook group especially, this is some of the things I saw. I saw most people saying, oh, he won't be able to do stairs for a while. That's going to be hard. I saw others saying it wasn't much of a problem for me. I mean, it was a little bit of a challenge, but not much of a problem. In a week or two, I was fine. That could be the case, but that's depending on how you go into that. Now, again, I went in strong, very strong, walked 3 miles before my transplant. So when I got out of the bed the next morning and started to walk, it was just a week until I could walk 3 or 4 more miles. I got back up to that benchmark and even improved very quickly. Most people are not able to do that. Most people really struggling and were at a really low place where their muscles were emaciated and their whole bodies, they just struggled to get back to that. So that's going to have a lot to do with whether or not you're able to navigate stairs, walk for long distances, whatever. But there is a difference. However, I repeat this, there's a difference between how your body reacts to go for an average flat ground walk versus an incline or a staircase. And it really just comes down to the demand and the fact that vagus nerve has been severed. I can't talk today. That's based on the fact that vagus nerve has been severed. Therefore, the condition of the heart is different and the conditioning is different from everyone. So don't think we're arguing with anybody when one says, I did great, and one says, no way, I can't walk up a flight of stairs. Hey, there's no question there. We're all different, and that has a lot to do with why we're all different. I thought that was a great question, so I hope this encourages you. It's very possible if you can keep your legs and you're going to be able to walk those staircase before you know it and get back in your own bed. I know that makes a huge difference, but it's also likely that you're going to have to take your time with that. Take it really slow and just let your body adapt. Once you get into cardiac rehab, if you're not already in that, maybe about 6 weeks out, they'll put you in that. That'll make a huge difference because you'll end up on a treadmill practicing that incline walk, and you'll get better very quickly. Thank you for the question. If you're one of those people over on Facebook who see this, hey, I agree with you no matter what you said. It can be hard. It can be easy. We're all different, but we can all do this together. Let's work as a family, as a community. Let's support each other and encourage one another as best we can. And until next time, I want to encourage you by saying this: stay stronger, my friends. Oh, let me add this little funny. I saw this on that Facebook group post, and again, there were hundreds of replies to that. Somebody I don't think read the question very clearly. They saw the word stairs, and they commented a whole paragraph down below talking about how they were really aggravated all the stairs that they got after their transplant, particularly when they wore their mask. Okay, different kind of stairs, but still thought that was funny. Have a great day.